There we go.
All right. The Lincoln City Council meeting of Monday, July 11th is now in session. Before we move any further, I need a motion.
Madam Clerk, are you gonna?
Yes, first is our election of temporary chair.
Madam Clerk, I make a motion that we nominate, I'd like to make a nomination of Ms. Washington to serve as chair of the city council in the absence of the chair and vice chair.
Second.
Okay. Motion made by Shob, second by Raybold. I'll now call the vote. Raybold,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Shob,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0.
Thank you. All right, let's move on. Today, our first item of business is the Mayor's Award of Excellence. Welcome, Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the council. It's my pleasure to be back before you to talk about another Mayor's Award of Excellence winner, this time for the April 2022 award. This award goes to Lincoln Police Department Officer Jennifer Hurley. She was nominated by the property manager of Lincoln Square Senior Apartments, Danny Troutwine, in the category of Valor for her efforts to extend the life of an elderly resident who was experiencing a medical crisis. Back on February 15th, Officer Hurley was responding to a call made by the resident, and while at the call, Officer Hurley noticed that the resident appeared to suffer a stroke, and she therefore called 911. And since there was no medical staff on hand at the apartment complex, Officer Hurley asked the complex's assistant manager to help her lower the resident to the floor. And Hurley then began chest compressions, and the resident's eyes opened as she regained consciousness. Lying on the floor, the resident was then able to tell them that she was having a heart attack and that she desired a priest. Just minutes later, Lincoln Fire and Rescue paramedics arrived to transport the resident to the hospital. Despite medical professionals' best efforts to save the resident's life, unfortunately, she passed away at the hospital later that morning. But what happened in between the call for service and our community's loss is why we're here today. First, it's just worth highlighting that our police officers out on the street are sometimes the very first to arrive on the scene when someone is experiencing a medical incident. And their swift actions to apply life-saving efforts and procedures matter greatly and can make it possible, as was true in this case, for medical professionals to have the chance to try to do their life-saving work. And secondly, we honor Officer Hurley's actions, not just for the perceptive and skilled way that she handled this call, but also for the way that she went above and beyond what her duty requires. She could have returned to her beat after handing over responsibility to LFR, but instead she accompanied the elderly resident to the hospital, where she then interacted with the resident's son. And later, after learning of the woman's passing, Officer Hurley displayed loving kindness by writing to the property manager and asking her to convey her sympathies to the resident's son and family. And crucially, her actions made it possible for a priest to promptly arrive at the hospital and honor with dignity the life of one of our community members. In nominating Officer Hurley, Troutwine said that Officer Hurley is to be commended for her quick handling of this emergency. Her expertise and her swift, proficient, and skillful actions extended the resident's life, albeit for a short time, but time that enabled the resident to have her last wish fulfilled. I hope you will please join me in congratulating Officer Jennifer Hurley for her hard work and her commitment to the city of Lincoln. Assistant Chief Jason Stilley from LPD is here to say a few words as well.
Good afternoon. Jason Stilley, Lincoln Police Department. I want to thank the mayor for this recognition. I want to thank the council for your time. Officer Hurley, she is about 8 weeks short of being 31 years with the city of Lincoln. I will tell you, many years ago, I was told that the most important thing to have a successful law enforcement career was to treat everybody as you would want to be treated. to treat every case as if it's the most important case that you're going to work that day. On average, Officer Hurley handles about 700, give or take, calls for service in the year, and she does the same with this case as she does with every case. And I believe that she exhibits exactly what it means to be a fantastic Lincoln police officer. So this recognition is fantastically deserved. My appreciation to the citizens that ended up bringing this forward. So thank you, Jen, for your service.
Appreciate it. Real briefly, I'll introduce my family. My husband, Bob Hurley, he's also been on the police department as long as I were in the same academy class, as cheesy as that might be. And then our oldest, Morgan, she is a firefighter paramedic at Station 8. Our son, a middle child, is active duty Navy. He's currently deployed. And then our youngest is working. She will be a senior in college. So, again, thank you. I appreciate it. The outcome I wish would have been different, but I was happy that I was there to be with her at that time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
All right. I will beg your forgiveness for this being my first chair, and I will let you know that I know that the Open Meetings Act is on the back wall, and this meeting does comport with those rules. And also, I'd like us to just take a moment and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And with that, let's proceed. City Clerk, Madam Clerk.
First up is our consent agenda, which is sections 1 and 2. Is there anyone here to testify on any items in sections 1 and 2 of our consent agenda?
Nope.
All right.
Council Chair, we can now vote on these items. I'll be calling item 1A, reappoint John Wyville to the Aging Partners Area-Wide Advisory Council for a term to expire June 30th, 2025, introduced by Bowers.
So moved. Second.
Okay.
All right, let's take the roll.
Raybold,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0. Item 1B is reappoint Irina Garakian to the Aging Partners Area-Wide Advisory Council for a term to expire June 30th, 2025, introduced by Bowers.
So moved. Second.
All right, let's have the roll call.
Bowers,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Raybold,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0. Items 2A through 2C were introduced by Schob.
So moved.
Second. All right, roll call, please.
Bowers,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Raybold,
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0. Okay, that concludes our consent agenda. We shall now move on to our section 4 of public hearing resolutions. I'll be calling item 4A. Item 4A is accepting and approving the report of new and pending claims against the city for June 1st through June 15th, 2022.
All right, would anyone like to come forward? If you would, please say your name and address for the record.
We don't spell it anymore?
If you, yes.
That's okay. Terry Pope Gonzalez, founder of South Salt Creek Area Neighborhood Association. I'd like to know, see, my vet put in bills for when the dog got hurt because of Jane Raybould and the mayor, and you guys weren't sitting on and it never got paid. So I had to pay it. So what I had to pay is what I'm behind on my mortgage, which we should not have a mortgage. I have a $200 a day late charge, okay? Because see, I own Gambino Stables Working Canines. That means my dog is worth $10,000. He now has, he's finally getting over E. coli that we got rotisserie chickens on Super Saver on 27th. Now, what does it take to get the city to pay when they should pay? Because guess what? My vet, she never got paid. The 2 technicians never got paid. And even the young lady who came and checked on him. No, they never got paid. But I paid them because I pay my bills. Now, how come the city doesn't pay their bills? We didn't get any COVID money. I have a veteran in distress, lost his job because of the COVID. He was working at Offutt Air Force Base building Stratcom. Now, hey, what is the clue to get it paid? Because I've been here and I've watched when it's crucial and the TIF money gets given. Now, what does it take? I'd like an answer. And if you don't want to give me an answer today, I want it in writing. Because the lawsuits are happening. Jeff Kirkpatrick was my hired attorney before he played politics with the ex-senator. Now, I am running for mayor. Isn't that something? Can you imagine me for mayor? I don't want to be mayor. I'd like somebody else to, and we've already talked, okay? I'm impressed with you because you've barely been on, okay, right? And I'm so sorry that they put your picture in the paper with you in tears. That's not what should have happened, okay? Now, I am colorblind. No, I'm really colorblind. I can only see orange. So if you're not orange, I really don't know what color you are. I really am colorblind. So when people say colorblind, no, I really am, okay? The homestead of my husband's family is not gonna be, hey, Jane Raybould, you know that free and easy money? You better start working it out, because I'm gonna get some. I need less than $10,000, okay? So how come those vet bills did not get paid? Now I went up and asked this man's office. I'm sorry, I don't know how to say your name, okay? It's a pretty name, but I don't know how to say it. They said the post office never got the bills to you. Really? I send things certified, notarized. You know why? So when you sit there and say you never got the bill, I even get the green card sent back to me. Huh. So what happened to those bills? Now, who's being Tammy Ward today? Because the vice guy is that guy, right? He's gone, okay?
I am the acting chair.
So how come the bills did not even get, now I asked his office, okay? He said he never saw them. I asked the mailroom. Now, she was my friend. She said they came. I know they came. I have the green card. Now, so what's going on?
I don't have an answer for you, but I can get an answer.
Would you?
Yes.
Now, I really like this lady, okay? She is a different color than I am, but like I said, I see orange. So can you imagine you guys all looking orange to me? Okay? How much time I got?
Minute 14 seconds.
Okay. Well, so, because there's a lot of people coming to me wanting to know how come when they have a legit problem with the city, they don't even get an answer from you guys. How come? Would you check on that too?
Got 1 minute.
If you have something specific that I could check on, that would be easier than just,
Oh, I have a whole list, but I don't think we want to be here all night, because really I wasn't coming. You know why I came? Hurley, when she had spiked hair. 2014, they did a police chase in my area. Went past me 6 times, and she didn't run me over once. Thank you, guys. Now, I don't feel well, so I'm probably not going to stay, because if I pass out, what happens? Fire trucks have to come.
thank you, Ms. Pope Gonzalez. All right, next item. Oh, does anyone else want to speak on this one, on claims against the city? And let's move to 4B.
I'll be calling item 4B, approving the naming of the Nature Camp building in the Pioneers Park Nature Center as the Lynn Johnson Nature Education Building.
Good afternoon, Council. Maggie Stuckey-Ross, Director of Parks and Recreation.
Yeah.
As you all know, Lynn Johnson recently retired after 25 years with the Lincoln Parks and Recreation Department, including 22 years serving as the director. His impact is evident across the community in the form of numerous capital projects, iconic architecture, native landscape design, preserved green space, protected prairie, and youth development programs. The Pioneers Park Nature Center represents so many facets of Lynn's work and passions, including education, recreation, and community outreach. The new building we're discussing today was dedicated in 2020, and it incorporates several design elements envisioned by Lynn, most notably the iconic cupola. The building also happens to be in Lynn's favorite park, Pioneers Park. So before you today is a proposal to name this building the Lynn Johnson Nature Education Building. And the photo that you're seeing on the Elmo is the correct building, for those of you wondering about the newspaper. We're sorry that the wrong photo did get included. By way of background, the original Nature Camp building in Wilderness Park was destroyed by fire in 2017. Park staff reviewed several different locations for the replacement location and ultimately determined that Pioneers Park was a good fit, given the other programming in the park. Insurance proceeds, funding appropriated through the CIP, and donations secured by the Lincoln Parks Foundation paid for design and construction of the building, again, which opened to students in 2020. The building is primarily used for the summer Nature Camp program, but is also used as the starting point for school hikes, Girl Scout badge classes, and other activities. Both the Lincoln Parks Foundation Board of Directors and the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board have recommended this naming proposal before you today. We are pleased to welcome Lynn Johnson back to the chamber today. Lynn is here with his wife, Susan. Lynn, we'd be happy to let you handle item 9A for the team when it comes up. I'm kidding, of course. But, it's great to have Lynn here. And Lynn, if you want to say a few words, I'll open the mic to you.
I feel like there should be more clapping.
Good afternoon. It is a pleasure to be here this afternoon. This is a great honor to have this building recognize me, because I really enjoyed what I did for 25 years. This is significant. I want to say thank you to the City Council for considering this. I want to say thank you to the Mayor for her support. I want to thank the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board for making the recommendation for naming of this. I want to thank the Parks and Recreation staff and the Lincoln Parks Foundation staff for advancing this proposal and for being such tremendous partners over time. This building does mean a lot to me. It's located in Tallgrass Prairie, which is obviously our native landscape. This building sits very comfortably in that landscape, and that makes me very happy, to be perfectly honest. And it's also a special building. This is where people get outdoor education programming. They learn about our native landscape, and they learn to love our native landscape. So I want to thank you for the opportunity to be here this afternoon. And if you choose to vote in support of this, thank you for your vote and support. Thanks very much.
Okay. Thank you, Lynn, for all of your years of service. All right. Next item, 4C.
I'll be calling item 4C, approval of amendment number 1 of the conditional annexation and zoning agreement for Legends between the city and Legends Venture LLC.
Good afternoon, Council. My name is Tim Gergen with Clark & Anderson. I'm here to present a simple amendment to our annexation agreement. If I can get the prompter sign in. Legends Edition is a residential subdivision near 7th and Alvo, just to the west of Cooser Elementary School. There is the preliminary plat here. As part of our annexation agreement, we have offsite improvements to do with Alvo Road at 7th Street in order to do our last phase. In the annexation agreement, it was contemplated as a roundabout and a roundabout only. As we were going through our preliminary design on that intersection, we found that property acquisition on the north part of Alvo was getting to be cumbersome for us to do for a roundabout. It was discussed with LTU and Planning Department, and it has been determined that we're going to do acceptable to turn lanes at this intersection, similar to what is here at the entrance for the school property as well. So that we can do without acquiring additional right-of-way, and that is now new language added into the annexation agreement, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions?
Thank you.
Okay. And item 4D.
Item 4D is approving the interlocal agreement between the city, Lancaster County, and Lincoln Airport Authority to provide $1,500,000 in minimum revenue guarantees for additional flights into Lincoln.
Good afternoon, council members. Jennifer Williams with the Mayor's Department, 555 South 10th Street, Suite 301. I'm here to introduce this interlocal today with Lancaster County, which is part of the city and county, program related to American Rescue Plan funds. As you know, local subdivisions were granted direct dollars through the state and local fiscal recovery funds program from the federal government last year. Our priorities in terms of working with the county to allocate these dollars were to restore our economy and to renew community commitments. We utilized the valuable work of the Mayor's Economic Recovery Task Force, input from the council, and a desire to get money out the door as quickly as possible to help restore our economic development here in Lincoln. As you know, we have several programs underway as part of our ARP program. Those have included small business assistance, workforce development, and shortly we'll be announcing some assistance to tourism-related entities. The interlocal before you today will provide $1.5 million to the Lincoln Airport Authority. The program is going to be administered by our partners on the county side. The city provides $1.5 million, the county another $1.5 million that will be put into a blended fund. All of the dollars that will be enacted through contracts that will be negotiated by the Lincoln Airport Authority must be obligated by September 30th, 2024, so that we can ensure that those are paid out by the end of September 2026, which would enable the city and county, if there are funds left over, to be able to redistribute those dollars to other city and county priorities. I want to say thank you to the council for working with the Mayor's Office and Lancaster County to identify this priority as part of our program, and also mention that this will be a great interim bridge between what the airport is able to do to help support minimum revenue guarantees now and what we hope will change with the constitutional amendment that will be on the ballot in November, when they will be able to utilize their own revenue sources to do such. The last thing I would mention is that you and other members of the public can see the progress that we're making in terms of the spending and obligation and the budgets of the American Rescue Plan on our website, which is lincoln.ne.gov/ARP, and you can see that progress that is updated quarterly. I'd be happy to answer any questions, or if you have more detailed questions, I brought a lawyer with me, and Chris Connolly is here to answer those as well.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
All right. Are there any questions?
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you to the legal counsel. That was not necessary.
Yeah.
All right.
Those are the best.
Yeah. Having heard all four, we can move into the voting session. Madam Clerk.
Calling item 4A, accepting and approving the report of new and pending claims against the city for June 1st through June 15th, 2022, introduced by Bowers.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, thank you. Councilman McGinnis.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to amend number 1. Move to amend bill number 22R-266 with the following. On line 9, the claim of Clayton Schwartz shall be removed from the list of denied claims.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Councilwoman Raybold. Are there any questions about the motion to amend?
I think the gentleman was not able to appear before us today, so he asked us to postpone it to the next time.
All right. Okay. With that, Madam Clerk, let's vote on the motion to amend number 1.
Bowers,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Raybold,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0.
Thank you. And now the main motion.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Raybold,
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0.
All right, thank you. Moving on to the next item, approving the naming of the nature building for Mr. Johnson.
Approving the naming of the Nature Camp Building in the Pioneers Park Nature Center as the Lynn Johnson Nature Education Building, introduced by Bowers.
So moved.
Second?
Any comments?
Yay.
This is so well deserved.
Go ahead, Councilman Bowers.
I first got elected 3 years ago, and when you're younger and new to a brand new system, like I was into city government, you look around for folks to look up to and to emulate their behavior and their actions. And it's been an absolute honor to work with you. I have been incredibly impressed by your ability to listen, to talk, and to respond to people in a way that makes it easy for them to understand. Your diplomacy skills and your empathy skills are unmatched. And I think, as I've mentioned before, I've gone through your emails before and looked at how you've responded to people that were angry, confused, or upset, and looked at how you were able to de-escalate a situation and bring about compromise and come out with a positive result. It's been very beneficial for me, and so I'm extremely grateful for being able to learn from you and to watch you work, and you've given me skills that I'll take with me for the rest of my career.
Councilwoman Raybold.
Well, Lynn, I know that the contributions you've made to all the parks throughout the city are just vast and amazing, and we see your handiwork all over the city. But I see it particularly in Pioneers Park, all the many improvements to Pinewood Bowl, the facilities, the upgrades, and just the experiences that young kids get, and older people too at the same time, but making it a wonderful learning experience that has been incorporated in the Lincoln Public Schools and their learning experience. And just to have one of the buildings right there named for you, because when I ride my bike and see the buffalo, then I'll go right by that building and I'll think of Lynn and all the amazing contributions you've made to Pioneers Park. So thank you. The city's grateful. I think lots of little kids are grateful, and will continue to enjoy the facilities for years to come. So thank you.
Anyone else? All right. Well, Director Johnson, everything has been said, but I'm going to tell you that it has been a joy to work with you. Long before I sat here on City Council, I had the great privilege of sitting on the Park and Rec Advisory Board. Like, I don't even think the number 2 was in front of the year. So it was a while ago. And it might have been early in your career, but I couldn't tell. Your professionalism, your expertise was very high at that moment. And watching you and being able to work with you for the last 20-some years has been a real honor. Thank you so very much. And I was sorry to see you go, but everybody gets to retire. So I hope you have the very best retirement, and I hope this helps to put some frosting on your cake. Anyway, Madam Clerk.
Excuse me. McGinnis,
Yes.
Raybold,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0.
Yeah.
Way to go, Jennifer. Way to go.
Does that mean he has to go paint every once in a while?
Yeah.
Is he blushing yet?
Yeah, I think, yeah. All right.
Yes.
And because it's a building on city property, there won't be a cracking a bottle of champagne against the corner. We know that. All right. All right. Madam Clerk, the next item, please.
Item 4C is approval of amendment number 1 of the conditional annexation and zoning agreement for Legends between the city and Legends Venture LLC, introduced by Bowers.
So moved.
Second.
Who second?
Richard McGinnis.
Okay, thank you. Raybold,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0.
Thank you.
Item 4D is approving the interlocal agreement between the city, Lancaster County, and Lincoln Airport Authority to provide $1,500,000 in minimum revenue guarantees for additional flights into Lincoln, introduced by Bowers.
So moved.
Second.
Seconded by Raybold.
Broke it out.
All right.
Sorry.
Go ahead. Just one moment.
Thank
Go
you.
ahead.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to acknowledge the leadership and the work that Councilwoman Tammy Ward put into this to help get this across the finish line. She deserves a lot of credit for this, and I just want to make that statement for the record. Appreciate her working on behalf.
Thank you. All right. Any other comments? Madam Clerk?
McGinnis,
Yes.
Raybold,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0.
All right. Yay for Lincoln.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that concludes our section 4. We can now move on to section 5, our public hearing ordinances, second reading and related resolutions. I'll be calling item 5A, comprehensive plan conformance 22010, declaring city-owned property generally located at 10050 O Street as surplus.
Good afternoon, Dan Marvin, Urban Development, 555 South 10th Street. This is a relatively simple surplusing process. This is the aging building. There are agreements between the city and the county on the proceeds of that, but aging then has moved to a campus at 70th and O Street, and the proceeds of this are integral to that, to facilitating the financing for the final move to 70th and O Street. What we would expect to be able to do upon this vote, we would then advertise for sale, entertain offers, and bring back to this body the sale offer that we would eventually get. I'm here to answer any questions.
Seeing no questions, thank you very much. Madam Clerk, we'll move on to the next item.
He's the next item.
Yes.
All right, I'll be calling item 5B, amending Lincoln Municipal Code Chapter 6.02 definitions to add new sections numbered 6.02092 to define attack, 6.02095 to define bite, and 6.02295 to define home observation by amending section 6.04350 to specify that it shall be unlawful to sell, offer for sale, barter, or give away any puppy or kitten under the age of 8 weeks by amending section 6.04.355 to add the attacks are unlawful to be consistent with the definition by amending chapter 6.08 dogs and chapter 6.12 cats to add new sections numbered 6.08235 and 6.12.210 to set forth when home observations are allowed, and repealing sections 6.04350 and 6.04355 of the Lincoln Municipal Code as hereto existing.
Good afternoon. I'm Steve Beal. I manage animal control at the Health Department. And animal control today is bringing forward 7 proposed additions and minor modifications together to our existing animal control ordinances, which are Title VI of the Lincoln Municipal Code. And I can run through each of these really briefly if you would like. We have not had a definition of attack or bite in our ordinances in the past. So what you see in your packet are definitions of what constitutes a bite, what constitutes an attack. People often ask us, what do you take into consideration when you say my animal bit someone? So we thought this would be important clarification for not only the public, but for our animal control officers so that they can enforce the ordinances out in the field. So those two are two of the additions. A third addition would be the definition of a home observation. You know, when a dog bites somebody, a lot of times it needs to go under a 10-day quarantine. And under certain circumstances, we allow home observation. So if a dog or cat's current on its rabies vaccination, that's one requirement, current on its license, and has no previous incidences of bites in the past year, the animal control officer can allow home observation, which saves the animal owner some money because they don't have to board the animal for 10 days. We do still require a post-bite exam, so after that 10-day period, the owner has to agree, and they almost always 100% of the time comply with taking his or her animal pet in for a vet exam for the last part of that quarantine period. In addition to our proposed ordinances that we have that we're bringing forward today, have to do with the sale and giving away of dogs and cats. And while we don't have a big problem with people putting puppies or kittens out there too early on, we did not have a specific time frame in our ordinances for what we believe and what veterinarians, I guess is what I should say, believe to be an appropriate time for a dog or a cat to be weaned and be able to go up for sale and be out for someone else to either own or take care of. So we added into the ordinances a puppy or kitten under the age of 8 weeks. So we've defined that period of time as 8 weeks. So that's a modification in that portion of the ordinances. Also, a modification has to do with something we call bites unlawful, and that's how it's currently worded in the ordinances, bites unlawful. But your dog can also attack somebody, chase somebody, and not necessarily bite them, but still in an unprovoked manner be in a violation of Lincoln Municipal Code. So we're simply adding the word attack. So bites and attacks unlawful. So I think that provides more clarification than just bites by itself. And then consistent with the home observation, there's two sections in the ordinances, one that deals with dogs and one that deals with cats. So we simply added clarity as to when a home observation is allowed for dogs, and then in the other 6.12 section of Lincoln Municipal Code for cats. So that's basically to be consistent with what we defined as a home observation. So not real complicated, but, you know, sometimes I want to make sure that everybody doesn't, you know, if they have any questions, that we're able to provide any clarification on that. So with that.
Does anyone have any questions? Okay. We may come back to you. I don't see anyone in chambers, but if somebody is just outside and would like to testify in support or opposition. All right. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, we just appreciate everything you've done to support animal control, so thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Next section.
I think that closes that section.
Okay. Concludes section 5, public hearing ordinances, second reading and related resolutions. We'll now move to section 6, ordinances, third reading. Item 6A is approving the lease agreement between the City of Lincoln on behalf of the Lincoln Lancaster County Health Department and Quadient Leasing for the lease of a postage meter machine, introduced by Beckius.
So moved.
Second?
Seconded by Raybold. All right.
Bowers.
Yes.
Schob.
Yes.
Raybold.
Yes.
McGinnis.
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0.
All right. Thank you.
Section 7 is our resolutions. First readings are items 7A through 7G. Section 8 is ordinances. First reading related resolutions are items 8A through 8J. And section 9 is pending list, item 9A.
I move we adjourn.
Thank you very much. That was Raybold and McGinnis.
Raybold,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0.
All right. We are adjourned.
Yay.